Big show of faith by Emery to give Willock and Nelson a start. Yeah, they've been great in looking at the lineup, I think that's a pretty accurate reflection of out that the bench is stronger than the starting 11. Nigel, we'll start with you. What do you make of that comment?
I am slightly surprised. I think when you are excited, as I was excited, to see all the reality, not having a lot of time to work with those players, short period of time to gauge the fitness levels. You know, different clubs like to do different types of training.
Okay, Johnny, how are you feeling? Because there is some interesting decisions made there, isn't there?
The new boys I want to see in there. I'd have started David Luiz. He's had a full season training with Chelsea, granted, but you know, this is not a geezer who's at his first rodeo. He knows how to play Premier League football. He can just slide running in period to get himself ready, start him. He's going to be a starting defender for us, so get him in there. I would like to see Ceballos in there. You know, at the end of the day, we're signing these players to play, and we should not be taking Newcastle too lightly. That being said, I'd like to echo the sentiments we saw in some of the tweets, in the sense that Willock and Nelson, it's a massive game for those two. They have to start the season well. We are going to be looking to our young players to come through and stake a claim for their place in the starting lineup. So hopefully they come through and perform really well today.
Yeah, you mentioned the youngsters there, 3 academy graduates in that starting 11. Willock and Nelson, both extremely impressive in pre-season. So actually, it's great that they're being given some minutes today, Nigel.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about this for the last couple of seasons, particularly at the end of this season. We were looking at transfer policy. We weren't sure how much money we had. And I said, from that point of view, for me, it's important to change the squad up, bring some of the youngsters in. Let's find out whether if they're good enough or not to be regular starters to the team. Willock's in today, Nelson's in today as well. I'm excited to see them play, particularly Nelson out in the wide areas. I just think he's got to be explosive. He's really got to express himself, taking on the fullback, you know, not coming inside all the time, really go out and play. And if you put a little downside on it, pre-season means nothing. This is where they've got to deliver. This is the big boys league. This is the Premier League. If they can deliver in this first game, and we can win this game, then the excitement levels pick up straight away.
Yeah, to echo, Johnny, what Nigel's just said there, they really need to exploit this opportunity, don't they?
Big time. I mean, this is not like, with respect to Newcastle, it's not the most difficult game we're going to have this year. So it's an opportunity to go out there and really kind of stake a claim for your place in the starting lineup against a team where, you know, just because you've been in the Arsenal Academy and Arsenal Reserves and worked your way through, there's nothing to say you couldn't start for Newcastle. Like, Willock's going to be better than most of their players. And that is what he has to go and show, that I'm actually better than all of you guys, and I want to play for Arsenal.
It will be one of the most intimidating atmospheres in any of the away stadiums. Well, we know Newcastle have got their problems with the owner, so I'm assuming that the stadium's still going to be full. It's not a pleasant place to play Newcastle. It can be intimidating. So if, you know, particularly the younger players, if they can rise to that occasion, then I'm really looking forward to it.
I think with Newcastle as well, because there is so much kind of tension within the club, with the owner, Mike Ashley, and the fan base, if we can get in there early, get an early goal, you know, really kind of set the kind of stress levels in the stadium, we can run riot up there, because the fans are one step away from panic mode all the time. They've just lost a very good manager. They've got a new one in. So let's set the cat among the pigeons and really cause bother up there.
Another youngster being given a run out is, of course,
Your two centre halves have to be consistent. Read the game, understand the game, keep your full-backs in alongside you when you need to. Organise in front of you when you come under pressure defensively, because against Newcastle we will come under some pressure. Cut out the basic errors. As a back player, it's all about consistency. You don't need to be dynamic at all. Just do your job, do it to a very high level. Let the players with more ability in front of you go and play.
Get an early goal. You said he's a young player. I don't think Chambers is a young player anymore. We're like, you know, you look at Nelson, you look at Willock. These are young players. These are players who haven't had the experience at this level, and they need. This has to be good performance after good performance now, because quite frankly, we know there's another guy we just signed who's got.
Chat, of course, on that epic transfer window as well. But we're going to take you over to Newcastle now, where the players are warming up.
No, it tended to be sort of safety first, trying to stay in the league. I think Steve Bruce obviously knows how, as a Geordie, he knows exactly how desperate these fans are, just to get some silverware. You know, they're desperate to get something in the bank, and obviously it's not been too bright here over the last. Last 10 years under Mike Ashley's rule, so he's, you know, I think he's quite right. I think, you know, what's the point of playing football in the Premier League if you're not going to try and win some competitions? You know, the Carabao Cup's one that, you know, I think is eminently winnable for teams that aren't in the top six.
Yeah, Steve Bruce, who was born in Corbridge, just west of the city, Newcastle fan, stood on the Leazes End with his father as a boy before starting his playing career at Gillingham, making his name really at Manchester United, of course, a multiple Premier League title winner. But his record against Arsenal as a coach isn't great. 27 times he's played against Arsenal, or at least managed the side against Arsenal, and only on 2 occasions has his side been victorious. Once when he was the Sunderland manager, and once when he was in charge of Birmingham. Arsenal have possession with Socrates to the left-hand side, and Nacho Monreal. Monreal will just come inside and look to try and play back towards Socrates. The Greek international plays it sideways for Callum Chambers once again, and Chambers looks here for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles takes a look up. The referee has blown. I'm not quite sure why. Something that's on the pitch here. What is that? Is that a gum shield that Martin Atkinson has picked up here?
It looks metallic. I don't know what it is.
Strange. Just spotted it on the pitch. I don't know if it was a gum shield or something that came off a boot. But either way, Mr. Atkinson, who refereed the Community Shield last week, has halted play. Also, I've got a decent record with Mr. Atkinson the man in the middle. Although he has sent off 6 Arsenal players, joint most of any club that he's took charge of. Chambers knocks it long, looks for Willett, cleared away by Lascelles. This is Guendouzi towards Mkhitaryan. Jumps here with Longstaff, the much coveted Sean Longstaff, whose younger brother Matty scored in pre-season, incidentally, another one that's breaking through at Newcastle. Here is Reece Nelson to win it back for the Gunners. Now it's with Nacho Monreal and eventually Socrates. This is Callum Chambers. Wants someone to come a little bit short. The game's a little condensed here as Maitland-Niles on the halfway line plays it infield. Poor first touch. Richie nearly slides in, clatters into Maitland-Niles. Richie gets away with that. Guendouzi plays it over to the left-hand side. Controlled by Nelson. Looks to race forward on the left. It's still Reece Nelson. Plays it wide left to Monreal. Monreal tries to get the cross in. Is charged down. And Newcastle will come away with possession. Almiron, who's got a bit of pace about him, looks to try and take on Socrates and still going on the right-hand side. The Paraguayan turns, plays it infield. Newcastle retain possession, but have to go all the way back to the right-hand side of their 3-man defence. Interesting to see Dummett on the left-hand side of that 3, with Shah over on that right-hand side and Lascelles in the middle. Just seeing what Almiron can do. Positive start from both sides. Extraordinary results already over the course of this Premier League weekend, with easy wins for both Liverpool and Manchester City, second and first in the top flight last season. Are they beatable, the top 2? Do you think, Rob? Do you think Arsenal have got a chance of maybe challenging for the title, or is it top 4 our top ambition?
I think you've got to be realistic and say that those two, when you saw the points lead they had on us last season, I think the ambition has to be get top 4. Anything else will be a bonus. I think at top 4 is really achievable for us this season. Like I say, I think we've had such a good summer, and I think the lessons that Unai Emery will have learned from his first season, I'm really optimistic that we can get top 4 this year, especially with the sort of the problems that Chelsea have had with the transfer ban. They've got a new manager. Man United haven't had the best transfer window of all time. I think we've got every chance.
Callum Chambers comes forward for Arsenal. Maitland-Niles recovered from that whack from Richie, who himself was a doubt for this game with a hamstring problem suffered in pre-season. Inconsistent pre-season for Newcastle. They completed their pre-season by beating Saint-Etienne by 2-1 at St James's Park in their last summer fixture. And our new signing did play in that particular game, incidentally, Saliba. A goal for Mathieu Debuchy as well in the 2-1 reverse for Saint-Etienne. But they were well beaten by Wolves in an Asia Trophy game that I saw, and they looked absolutely awful. Did beat West Ham in their 3rd place playoff for that particular trophy out in the Far East, incidentally. Arsenal's by and large has been positive. Penalty shootout defeat to Real Madrid, defeats to Lyon and Barcelona as well, but only narrow ones. Here is Richie for Newcastle. Looks to play it down the line for Joe Linton. Hasn't got the pace to get there first time, and Chambers is across nicely.
I think he started confidently, hasn't Callum Chambers? He's sort of running out, closing defenders down very well, looking very assured at the back. It's been an encouraging start from him.
Burst onto the scene, I think, signed from Southampton, had a very good start to his Arsenal career. Callum Chambers then just went off the boil a little bit, was loaned to Middlesbrough a few years ago, and then of course Fulham last campaign, but as Rob rightly points out, played as a central midfielder. Here is Willock coming forward for the Gunners. Brings Lascelles out of position. Now it's with Guendouzi. Short ball for Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles sees a challenge coming in from Longstaff. The ball goes out for a throw-in to Arsenal. Maitland-Niles will take Hector Bellerin. What are we thinking here? September for Hector to come back? October?
Yeah, I think it's probably September. I think probably for Rob Holding as well. After the international break, September time sounds about right for both. And what a bonus it'll be to have both of those back. You know, I think Ainsley's done pretty well, hasn't he? But he's not a right back. By his own admission, I don't think that's where he's most comfortable. Hector Bellerin is one of, if not the best right back in the league, and I think it'll be a really tremendous addition. It's certainly attacking wise as well. You know, the pace he's got. I know it'll take him a while to get back to full fitness, but I really think he's going to add a whole new dimension to our attacking play on the right hand side.
Yeah, Maitland-Niles in for the foreseeable, though, you would have thought. 16 appearances in the Premier League last campaign, 11 starts. Here is Guendouzi, who did very well in his first season in the Premier League, of course, signed from Lyon, comes forward now. Mkhitaryan. Maitland-Niles, right-hand side up against Ritchie. The wing-back has to do some defending here. Maitland Niles tries to trick his way inside the penalty area. Newcastle should clear. Dummett will whack to safety. Joe Linton beaten to it by Chambers again. That's good defensive work by Callum Chambers once more. Now it's with Socrates. And Granit Xhaka, we mentioned that 100th Premier League appearance and goal scorer here, of course, last season. A free kick that saw Arsenal eventually win by 2-1. Really good record against the Magpies in recent campaigns. Arsenal in 12 of the last 13, only one defeat in the last 11 at St James's Park. And he has been a happy hunting ground for the North Londoners. Here is Longstaff, now it's with Ritchie, and eventually Lascelles. Dummett looking for Shelvey, beaten to it by Guendouzi. Can he get away from Shelvey? Sticks out the boot and manages to win it back. Newcastle have it again, but then Guendouzi right in front of the referee makes the challenge on Hayden. That's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. He's done well for himself, hasn't he, Isaac Hayden? He's a player that I thought might be destined for sort of second tier football, but he's established himself at Newcastle over the last couple of campaigns and was a regular last season.
Yeah, I actually used to do a diary thing in the Arsenal magazine, and even when he's probably sort of 16, 17, and even from that age he knew he had something a bit different about him. He's very mature, spoke extremely well. I think he's a real natural leader as well. I think he's a good player. He's really made the most out of his talent, really. I think he's done extremely well. I always liked him as a player. I thought he was very solid.
Longstaff coming forward now for Newcastle. Ritchie calling for it. He can deliver a ball. Ritchie gets to the byline. Does he win a corner? No, it's a goal kick.
1-2 with 3 players. Very cynical foul, really, to take him out. You could have no complaints really about that. Clear foul.
I'm not quite sure if he got a yellow card in or not. I didn't see a card come out for Mr. Atkinson. I'll check that for you shortly. Cynical stuff from Fabian Schär, who picked up some 12 yellow cards last campaign. It was his first season in Premier League football, having signed from Deportivo La Coruña. Willock, meanwhile, complains as he doesn't get the decision his way. In a battle with John Joe Shelvey, the ball spins off the Arsenal man. It will be a throw-in, which Ritchie will take just in front of Steve Bruce in front of us. Throws it down towards Almiron, caught by Guendouzi. Free kick. Almiron goes down, clutches the left thigh. Paraguayan who missed the end of the campaign because of injury. He was troubled with hamstring issues in his last season with Atlanta United, when Atlanta United won the MLS Cup, but well liked already on Tyneside. So free kick just inside the Arsenal half. John Joe Shelvey gets ready to takes it short. Longstaff controls and then plays it forward to the edge of the area. But Arsenal have got Maitland-Niles there and Mkhitaryan to play it forward. Nelson has got Aubameyang on the move on the left-hand side. Here is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang inside the penalty area. Challenge comes in and it's cleared away. That was Javi Manquillo with the defensive work, and it's out for an Arsenal throw on the halfway line.
It's unfortunate there. You don't expect a heavy touch from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but that's what we saw, and it really let the defender get back in because it was a really dangerous attacking position. Excellent work really from Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Henrik Mkhitaryan to release Nelson, but his pass was just well, it was absolutely fine really, but Aubameyang just took too heavy of a touch.
This is Maitland-Niles, drives towards the byline, neat skill to get away from Ritchie, inside the penalty area, the flick towards Willock is cleared away. Nelson it was that tried to find his fellow teenager. This is Almiron, ball goes out, and it will be a Newcastle throw, but just signs of some neat interchange there, and that's what Maitland-Niles can give you. He's very comfortable on the ball, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very cool, isn't he, when he gets into the area, you know, he never looks too rushed. I think most people, you know, when you look at Ainsley's game and the way he's played at right back, you know, 70, 80, 90% of the time you're absolutely fine. It's just he has these moments where he switches off. We saw the own goal, didn't we, in pre-season, and you know, he knew he'd done something wrong there. You know, he knew that he's actually having a very good game then against Barcelona before he did that. And he just, if you can iron that out of his game, and I think he's got all the makings of an excellent player.
Almiron twists away from Willock, races forward on the right-hand side. He's got Manquillo to his right. He's got Joe Linton coming forward as well. In comes across towards Joe Linton. Thankfully, Bernd Leno is there, and the cross was just too high from that right-hand side. Comfortable claim from Leno. Arsenal give the ball away. Mkhitaryan and Guendouzi. Miscommunication. Here is Almiron again. Left flank. Ritchie digs out the cross towards Joe Linton with a header. It's just wide of the target. Decent looking ball in from Ritchie. Joe Linton, who's very much an old-fashioned target man in lots of ways. Glancing header that was a foot wide of the right-hand post as he would have seen it. Bernd Leno's left as he saw it flash beyond them. If that was just 8-10 inches the other way, that would have been a goal. I don't think Leno would have got to that.
No, it was a very good header, very good cross from Ritchie, but it all stemmed from a loose pass from Henrik Mkhitaryan. Unfortunately, it's not his first loose pass so far today. And there he is, being muscled off the ball again.
Here is Ritchie. Now it's with Longstaff. Ritchie again, infield for Shelvey. Shelvey towards Joe Linton, should be cleared away by Arsenal, and Chambers in particular tries to get Nelson on his way, but Shah is there. Now it's with Mankiw over on the right-hand side. Further right towards Hayden. Infield towards Almiron. Drops a shoulder inside the penalty area. Was he brought down? The referee says no. And the Arsenal player is suggesting a dive, and he's going to get booked here, Miguel Almiron, for the dive.
Certainly don't need VAR for that, do you? Absolutely clear as day. There's a massive dive from him. He's having a really, really good game. He had no need to do that, really. Just flung himself to the ground.
All penalty incidents will be checked, of course. And if the video review wants to suggest to Mr. Atkinson that it might be something other than a yellow card to the Paraguayan, then they will say so. But I think you're right. He's just thought that there was a challenge going to come in, and he's just thrown himself to the ground. Rain comes down a little hard here. An exposed press box at St James's Park, and the press corps are getting absolutely soaked.
Makes my decision not to bring a jacket even better, really.
Mkhitaryan wins it back against Shelvey. Looks to play the ball towards Aubameyang. Now it's with Willock with a shot. Hits the post, but the flag is up. I think that again was the... We've had 23 and a half minutes here at St James's Park, and it's teeming down with rain as Ainsley Maitland-Niles comes forward on the right-hand side. Mkhitaryan is challenged by Ritchie. Ritchie wins the ball, plays it towards Almiron. Chambers is there to clear, finds Mkhitaryan instantly infield for Xhaka. Nicely done from Mkhitaryan on that occasion. Now it's with Nacho Monreal on the left-hand side. Monreal infield for Granit Xhaka. Xhaka forward, looking for the movement of Reiss Nelson. Nelson for Mkhitaryan. Guendouzi, Maitland-Niles joining in the right-hand side. 4 to his left. Who can he pick out? Still Maitland-Niles has it. Faced up by Ritchie. Back towards Reiss Nelson. Nelson curls it over to the left-hand side and looks here for Nacho Monreal. Now it's with Nelson once again. He's getting involved in the game all of a sudden. Tries to play it forward towards Joe Willock. It's cleared away. And then a poor challenge coming in by Nelson. That's going to be a yellow card, I think. Have another look at that. Was it just that? I've never ever seen an umbrella in the press box in my life before. I was hesitating to put it up. I saw someone else did it.
The Wallies with the brolly.
So I don't feel as bad. Still, never been this way in a press box in my life. Free kick taken by Dubravka. Here is Hayden forward towards Joe Linton. Joe Linton muscling his way through inside the area, gets the shot away. Great save from Leno. Well, it was straight at him to a certain extent. However, he had to be alert and he had to get down well just to his right hand side. That's just what Joe Linton can do. He's a physical presence. We mentioned goal scoring stats, just 7 in 25 starts in the Bundesliga last campaign for Hoffenheim. Here is Leno and Socrates as they try and play the ball out from the back, and Arsenal have to do it all again. They win a throw. Good pressing from Almiron and co. So throw in far side. Long towards Nelson, takes it down expertly and then looks to ping it over to the right-hand side, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's got the pace on Dummett for sure. It's still Aubameyang looking to drive to the byline, right-hand side. That's a good recovery challenge. Excellent work. I have to give credit to Dummett there because he's not the quickest by any stretch of the imagination.
They did very well there, but just couldn't quite get past him and use that pace to burn on the flanks. But a bit more encouraging from Arsenal the way that Reiss Nelson's getting into the game a bit more.
Throw in taken. Willock can't quite control, but he wins another throw. And it will be Maitland-Niles to take. Here is Mkhitaryan. Maitland-Niles once again. Challenge comes in from Dummett once more. It's another throw taken towards Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan rolls it back towards Xhaka. Xhaka neatly infield towards Nelson. Nelson tries to play it towards Guendouzi but can't. Strong challenge coming in and Newcastle have possession. This is Jonjo Shelvey. Curls it over to the right hand side. He can't control it first time around and it allows Socrates to come across. Newcastle might have a bit of a problem with Longstaff, who's limping at the moment after that strong challenge just a few moments ago. Throw in to Newcastle over on the right hand side. Mankiw gets ready to take, about level with the penalty, 18-yard box on that right hand side. Thrown down for Shah, who decides to come forward, and then a crossfield ball for Richard. Controls high on his chest, left footed, down by the corner flag on the left, controls again, gets away from Maitland-Niles, curled in by Dummett, and then whacked away by Callum Chambers. Here is Lascelles. Forward, looking for Joe Linton, cleared away by Chambers. Lascelles challenges Willock, and that's going to be a free kick.
I'm surprised he's not been booked for that, because Joe Willock, if he got away there, would have been in a great position to then release Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
So free kick here for the Gunners. Just wanted to the Arsenal coaching staff having a word with the fourth official here. Sir Darren England not happy with that challenge. So free kick for the Gunners. Some distance out. 40 yards or so. Nelson potentially is going to chip it towards the edge of the penalty area, left hand side where the Arsenal squad, the vast majority of them are lined up. We've got Mkhitaryan to the right, but most to the left, and it comes, and a glancing header from Granit Xhaka is well wide of the target. Difficult opportunity that, I think, for Granit.
Yeah, there wasn't really much he could do with that. It was right on the edge of the area when it came to him, and it came to him quite low as well. He would have done well to really test the goalkeeper from there.
So no goals, and we've had nearly half an hour here at St James's Park. It's not first game of the season weather, that is for certain. Arsenal have lost 4 of the last 6 opening fixtures in the Premier League, all at home. Last time that they played away was, of course, here, a 0-0 draw, you might recall, 11-12 campaign. Hayden infield looks for Joe Linton. Challenge comes in from Monreal, cleared away by the Gunners. Shelvey.
Ask you a question. Why is a young lad like Reiss Nelson on free kicks and corners? He took one into the edge of the 18-yard box. Granit Xhaka should be taking the corners from either side because he's got a decent strike. Obviously, Reiss Nelson at the moment, his delivery isn't fantastic from set pieces. So just say, OK, give yourself a rest. One of the senior players go and take it.
In a very evenly contested first 32 minutes on Tyneside.
Guendouzi on the halfway line, forward for Reiss Nelson. Nelson will look to come forward, but just checks his run, goes back on his left side, then looks to play it to Nacho Monreal into the final third. Arsenal come forward. This is Granit Xhaka. Socrates. Now it's with Guendouzi. Back towards Socrates. Plenty of possession here for the Gunners. No real penetration at the moment. As Guendouzi has the ball, looking for Monreal on the left-hand side. Newcastle win it back. Hayden does well. And Keogh down the line. Looks for the run of Joelinton, but the ball has just drifted out of play, and that's going to be a throw into Arsenal. A decent game so far, Rob. I think certainly plenty of cut and thrust from both sides. Arsenal haven't really had any sort of control, but Newcastle will probably be the happier of the two sides because I think Arsenal's ceiling is obviously a little bit higher than Newcastle's here. But Newcastle fans and Steve Bruce, first competitive game in charge, will probably be fairly pleased about the way his side have gone about their business so far.
Yeah, I think they've looked pretty impressive so far, and Arsenal have really struggled to get into the game too much, but they have been growing in influence in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes, really.
Maitland-Niles towards Mkhitaryan, gets to the byline, looks to pull it back, it's cleared away. Shah is there to flick it over to that far side.
It'd be nice to stretch the game a bit more. I'd like to see a bit more width from Arsenal, try and pull them out of position a bit more. At times it's getting very much bogged down in the middle of the park, and John Joe Shelby's having a very good game, I think, for Newcastle. You know, he's one of those strange players, isn't he, where he's either an 8 or 9 out of 10 or he's a 3 out of 10. Unfortunately, he's having probably one of those 8s today. He's picking out passes nicely. We need to close him down a bit more. You'd like to see Guendouzi and Xhaka take control a bit more in the middle.
When he started 10 Premier League games last season, John Joe Shelby struggled with a thigh injury that caused an awful lot of issues. Physios didn't know exactly what it was, had specialist care in Barcelona. Groans from the Newcastle supporters because we've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles down again, and it's going to be a free kick here to Arsenal. Challenge coming in just inside the Newcastle half. Is that Matt Ritchie again?
Matt Ritchie again,
Third time he's done that, Matt Ritchie.
Right back is certainly not a position we can really afford any more injuries in, really. I suppose the option would be Callum Chambers would shift over there. I'm sure Ainsley will be fine to continue. It looks like he's just sort of taking a breather, really, and getting a bit of treatment on his ankle, but Callum Chambers would be the obvious choice, I guess, to move to right back, and then you've got David Luiz who could come on at centre back.
Well, Maitland-Niles is getting some treatment. Meanwhile, some instructions being given to Socrates and to Callum Chambers. No goals. A miserable day in the northeast in terms of weather. Maitland-Niles has come to this near side. He's going to come back on, I reckon. We're going to restart with an Arsenal free kick, which Mkhitaryan will take. Now it's with Callum Chambers. Mkhitaryan once more. Back towards Chambers, who will knock it back for Bernd Leno, the Arsenal keeper. Here's Maitland-Niles. Guendouzi gives it away. Longstaff will knock it back. Ritchie ain't going to get to that. Mkhitaryan picks up the loose ball and drives forward. He's got Willock to his left. He's got Aubameyang to his right. Here is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Wants to knock it back inside the area. Falls for Nelson. Now it's Mkhitaryan again. Can Arsenal pull the trigger? Still Mkhitaryan. Great challenge coming in from Hayden. Here is Monreal. Hayden again with a good challenge. Twice he's denied Arsenal, the former gunner, and then plays it forward for Joelinton. And Hayden was caught after the ball had gone by Mkhitaryan, and that's going to be a free kick. And is it going to be a yellow card? It is.
I think that's pretty harsh, considering that Newcastle really got away with one the other few minutes ago when Joe Willock was taken down fairly cynically by Lascelles. That sort of attack, really sort of story really of Arsenal's first half, and going forward, got into a good position, really good opportunity. Just broke down, couldn't find the final ball in, and then Mkhitaryan was desperately trying to recycle it, but Xhaka lost. Was it Monreal? He lost control on the edge of the area. Frustrating.
8.5 minutes to go until half time, and Almiron has possession for Newcastle. Now it's with John Joe Shelvey. Pings it over to the right hand side, but he's got too much on that. Steve Bruce isn't happy. Kicks a water bottle in frustration. There's the man who swapped Sheffield Wednesday for Newcastle. Not a great appointment as far as Newcastle fans are concerned. Has been around the block an awful long time, hasn't he, Steve Bruce? 10 different teams that he's managed. He's won promotion on 4 different occasions with 2 different clubs, Birmingham and Hull, but in the top flight his record ain't great. Charge of Hull, of course, when Arsenal beat Hull in the FA Cup final. Incredible game. But I think he knows it's his last chance, really, of really doing something in the Premier League with a good club. Maitland-Niles caught, this time by Longstaff. I don't want to say he's been targeted here, but there's been some challenges on Ainsley Maitland-Niles over the course of this first half. Strange player to target, you'd imagine, but even so, seems to be on the wrong end of some just niggling challenges. Here's Callum Chambers, deep inside Newcastle Arsenal territory rather. Now it's with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Guendouzi plays the ball over to the left-hand side. Now it's with Shah. Rain has just debated a little bit here. See what Almiron can do. Looks to play an infield towards Joe Linton. The first touch not quite good enough. Play back towards Leno. Almiron, he's on in quickly. Leno, though, is very, very good with the ball at his feet, as we know. Whacks it long. Shah, though, will control right-hand side. Newcastle come forward. Manquillo looking for Almiron, always busy. Likes to have a go, just over the crossbar. Yet to score for Newcastle. Miguel Almiron played in the Copa America in the summer. Paraguay beaten by Brazil in the quarter-finals. £21 million. It was the record signing just for 6 months before Joe Linton arrived on Tyneside. £40 million. And Emil Kraft, who's on the bench, incidentally, came midweek from Amiens. Having played on loan with the French club last season, he was signed for £5 million. Former Bologna and Helsingborg right back. Here is Lascelles. Now it's with Shah. Out of Basel. Didn't quite play with Granit Xhaka. Xhaka left as he was moving to the Swiss side. This is Hayden, beaten to it by Monreal. Xhaka for Guendouzi. Forwards here for Willock. Up against Longstaff. Now it's with Aubameyang. Right hand side, he's got Mkhitaryan to his right. 3 inside the penalty area. Low ball in. Ricochets off Dummett. Cleared away. Richie completes the job. Almiron against Maitland-Niles. And that's going to be a throw in for Newcastle on the halfway line, which Richie will take. Shelvey from Richie's ball. Always see that combination. Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang look for each other a lot, don't they?
They do, yeah. It's just not quite happening for them at the moment, but it's just that final ball. Hopefully, if they can just add a bit to that final ball, then we can break the deadlock here.
Aubameyang looks to be offside. He's not going to get to it anyway. Unai Emery's absolutely furious. Hood up, sits back down on the bench for about half a second, then he's back up again. I think that's the longest I've seen him sat there. Dummett for Newcastle, left-footed, long towards Joe Linton. Chests it down, but gives Socrates the opportunity to hook to safety to the halfway line. Shelvey's header directed towards the right-hand side of Manquillo. Manquillo can only find Granit Xhaka. Xhaka strides forward, looks for the Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan, angle of the box, right-hand side, looks to try and cut inside. Dummett is there, and it's out for a corner opportunity for Arsenal.
Yes, we'd like to see a pretty good on set pieces last season. Let's hope we can continue that this season. Callum Chambers striding forward, Socrates striding forward.
So right-hand corner, Mkhitaryan, hands on hips, waits. Socrates is forward, Chambers as well. Dug out towards Socrates, flicked away only as far as Aubameyang. On that left-hand side, it's on his right foot, chips it back inside the area, cleared away by Newcastle and Fabian Schär. Only as far as Guendouzi. And now it's with Granit Xhaka. Xhaka, left-footed. Big diagonal, hoping to hit Aubameyang again. It's flicked away by Manquillo. Aubameyang manages to get possession back for Arsenal. And we've got 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Guendouzi, Nelson, Aubameyang, left-hand side, no one in the middle at the moment. Here is Willock, back towards Aubameyang, inside the penalty area. And Schär is there, looks to flick it towards Manquillo, who will knock it long. And then eventually it's all the way back towards Bernd Leno. Well, things to work on certainly from an Arsenal point of view here.
I think the good thing is, from an Arsenal perspective, is certainly that we've got incredible strength in depth on the bench. If you look at it, you've got the likes of Ceballos, Lacazette, Nicolas Pepe, of course. These are all players. Gabriel Martinelli's had a very bright pre-season. These are all players who can come on and change the game.
Arsenal have it with Chambers. Goodness, won the last game last season, of course, against Burnley in the Premier League, but only 2 wins the last 7 in the English top flight. Meant Arsenal slumped to 5th at the final reckoning, just 1 point off the top 4 place. Newcastle, for their part, of course, were 13th. Had a very good away record last campaign. Only 7 defeats on their travels. That's joint best outside the top 2, would you believe? Very, very well organised under Rafa Benitez. You didn't get the flair. You're going to see something different with Steve Bruce. He's improved every single side that he's come in. I know that much if you look at points per game. What are his methods? What's the hallmark of a Steve Bruce side? I tend to struggle with that question. Almiron. One back by Xhaka. Now it's with Maitland-Niles. Back for Guendouzi. Granit Xhaka again, away from Joelinton. To the left-hand side where Nacho Monreal is stationed. Now it's with Reiss Nelson. Still Arsenal probe away. Willock runs into Lascelles, who's out of position. Willock still has it. Nelson, left flank. Nelson on his right foot now, then looks to turn back on his left. He's up against Schär and Manquillo and Hayden. Has to go all the way back towards Socrates. Now it's with Callum Chambers. Newcastle look to try and press as Maitland-Niles sends it down the line, but it's going to run through towards Lascelles, who will just knock it long down the line. May well have just curled out before it curled back in. It did. Final 30 seconds or so of this opening half of Arsenal's 19-20 league campaign. After an excellent transfer window, the players on the pitch, all of which did play for the Gunners last season, are being held here by Newcastle, who've had some good opportunities themselves. But Arsenal have looked fairly decent going forward. I don't think this one's going to end 0-0, Rob.
Don't you?
Nah.
Well, we only had 1 clean sheet on the road in the Premier League last season, didn't we? So, yeah, you're probably right, but yes, I think you're right. I think the longer this game goes on, the more control that we can get with the options we've got on the bench. I still feel confident we can start this season with a win.
Newcastle actually had more clean sheets away from home than at home last season. This is Nelson, edge of the area, flicks it towards Mkhitaryan, cleared away by Dummett. Now it's with Nelson again, who's shown some neat touches. Player, of course, who did have a decent pre-season. Mkhitaryan, Nelson, the flick for Guendouzi, central position. Now it's with Mkhitaryan once again. It's towards Nacho Monreal, but it's a poor ball for Mkhitaryan.
He's been involved in a lot of things, hasn't he, Mkhitaryan, in this half? I think he's sort of had a very strange half, really. He's done some good things, some nice bits, but he's given the ball away more than one occasion. His final ball's been wanting a bit too. He had that chance, didn't he, where he crashed it over the bar. It's a funny half from him.
Maitland-Niles to add it on time. at the end of this first period. The rain still coming down, but nothing like as heavy. Here is Callum Chambers. Now it's with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Longstaff is the covering midfielder, a much coveted player who was linked with Manchester United in the summer. Very much an old-fashioned midfield player, box to box, covers an awful lot of ground, can get a challenge in. Injured towards the end of last season. Callum Chambers. Maitland-Niles. Richie looks to intercept. All he can do is knock it out of play, and that's going to be a throw in to Arsenal. Gendouzi, Maitland-Niles, Lechalot, no goals. Another wet St James's Park here. Leno had to make one smart stop. Martin Dubravka likewise. Newcastle had the ball in some good areas, and Joelinton with a glancing header just went wide. Arsenal with Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan had plenty of touches in and around the box, but couldn't find a way through. Rob, how do you assess Arsenal's first 45 minutes of the new campaign?
I think it was okay. If we're being perfectly honest, it's nothing better than okay. I think Unai Emery will want to see a lot more penetration going forward in the second half. Like I said, we've got the strength on the bench to change the game, but I think he'll want to see a bit more penetration, a bit more sort of awareness of where each other are in attack as well. I think there's been a lot of balls that are sort of breaking down, passes going astray. I think speed the game up, stretch them a bit wider, and I think we could get in.
Yeah, agree with that. Half time then here as we hand you back to the studio on Arsenal Nation Live. It is Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Well, Newcastle came out of the blocks quickly there. What did you guys make of the first 45? Johnny, we'll start with you.
Not amazing, actually, no. I mean, there's some highlights in the fact that I thought Willock went about his business very, very well. Really, really nice performance. Exactly the kind of stuff we want to see from a young lad trying to make his name and stamp his mark on this team. Reece Nelson, some exciting moments, but there's a downside as well. Mkhitaryan has been anywhere but on the level that we need. I want to see him off at half time. Not good enough, quite frankly. We really need to win this game. I mentioned before the game kicked off that I think this game will really be important for us. What with some of the upcoming fixtures we've got, we need to get a really positive start so we can build momentum, so we can push on in the league, and we just can't take this lightly. I want to see Lacazette going on, and I think it's time for Pepe Le Pew as well. Get him on, and one of the midfield two, Xhaka or Guendouzi has to go, and Mickey has to go, and we've really got to get after Newcastle because this game is there for the winning.
Nigel, how would you assess the first 45?
It's been okay, but it's one of those games I'm feeling at the moment when you're playing. It's like, if we don't come away with a victory in this game, there'll be disappointment. But we mustn't also, on the flip side of that, come away with a loss, because that would be an absolute disaster. The best period to play for me is when Willock's put the ball up in central midfield, turned his man, broke forward. We look like, with a quick counter-attack, we look like we can then put Newcastle under pressure. There's been a lot of time when I'm looking at the two central midfield players. We're keeping the ball at the back, we're going into midfield, and then rather than I'm looking for that dynamic pass through for us then to get a quick counter-attack play going or a bit more pace into the game, we've come back and we've kept the ball. I think we've been a little bit overcautious. So when we've had periods in the game where we're keeping the ball, I think then one of our midfield players has got to make that decision to play through the lines and get our forward players into the game more. And just right at the end, we need a little bit more quality with the final pass. And I think the game's there for us to win.
Well, you've both mentioned how impressed you've been with Willock and Nelson. Lots of people online sharing those thoughts. A lovely stat here from Opta. Arsenal have named two English teenagers, Willock and Nelson, in their starting 11 for a Premier League game for the first time since February 1998. That's pretty incredible. So before then, it was Vanaza and Upson for Crystal Palace, and that was before Willock or Nelson were born. That's pretty crazy, the future there. That's insane, and loads of love from you guys watching as well for the two youngsters. Let's take a look at what you've been saying at home. Unreal run from Willock. What a talent. He certainly is an unbelievable prospect. Joe Willock is a serious baller. He definitely is. Willock shifting through the gears like Yaya Toure. Kid is a powerhouse. He certainly is, and he's definitely got tongues wagging for all of the right reasons. You mentioned, Johnny, that it's a little bit concerning when the youngsters are kind of the ones standing out in an experienced side.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. We saw this towards the end of the Europa League. There were, when other people were putting in some shameful performances in the Europa League final, when the young boys came on, including obviously Iwobi's not here anymore, but Willock are coming on, causing real bother, and they were setting the tempo. One of the standout moments for me in that first half was where Willock, I think, lost the ball, but he didn't give up on it. Charging back, slide tackle, broke their play up, and that led to our break, which eventually led to Aubameyang's big chance. That is setting the impetus. That is setting the tone and saying to Newcastle, we're better than you, we're coming here to win, and we're not taking no for an answer. Nelson as well. I think Nelson has done well. He's not been as assured as Willock. Willock really looks like he's meant to be there right now, and I've been really encouraged with Nelson, but at times I think he's just trying to work out where he's fitting into everything. But again, this is a game we can't mess around with. They don't look great at all. We've really got to start putting them to the sword. And I'd like to see some of the more established players coming off the bench to really add more potency to our attack.
Nigel, why is it, do you think, that it is the youngsters that are thriving and catching our eye? Do you think it's because they're fearless and, they're just throwing themselves in? They
are fearless, but they realise as well that they've been given an opportunity, and what an opportunity it is, what a privilege it is to play for such a fantastic club. And really, you've got to grasp that. You can't come in and be timid. When you're out there, you have to believe you are the best. It does not matter who is on that pitch with you. You go out and believe you're the best, and particularly in your position. So what you're saying to the manager is, go on, leave me out the team now, because I've played better than the guy alongside me. What this is doing, for what Willock is doing at this moment in time, if he can replicate that half again in the second half, he's now saying to the manager, you can't leave me out the team. So all of a sudden, the manager might be thinking something as the season's progressing forward, and all of a sudden he said, I've given this guy his opportunity, I can't take him out. And what a breath of fresh air. It gives everybody a lift around you, that you see a young kid like this. I say is the nearest thing people talk about losing Ramsey. He's quicker than Ramsey. He's a better runner with the ball than Ramsey. I think he can score more goals eventually than Ramsey. I just think you need to let him in this team, let him thrive. We've got a serious player on our hands here, and he's obviously there will be dips in form, but at the moment he's showing why he should be in the team.
You said it gives everybody a lift. What does it do for the older, more experienced players, though? Does it kind of give them that kick up the backside, do you think? Because you've been on both sides of that, haven't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think you, as an experienced player, you want to lead by example. So that's the sort of energy you want to be bringing into the game. But I think when you see a young player doing that, it just gives that freshness to the team. You're going, we've got some energy in the team here. As well, so if you say, we know the senior players will know, they've seen what they can do in training as well, so they'll know what they like. But when they start to put it in game time, where it really matters, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about someone taking their opportunity, and as you see on social media, lighting it up with their performance so far. So I'm just hoping with his second half performance, I'm hoping that he can finish this off and get us the winning goal.
I think when you look at what Willock's doing as well, the thing is people can be over sentimental sometimes. In football, there's no room for sentimentality. Like the Newcastle players are not going, there's a young lad there, go easy with him. They're going to smash him out the game. We're better than these guys. He's not going to make it, whatever. So he has to come in and match their intensity and say, no, I'm better than you. And right now, for me, he's been the best player on the pitch. And that you can't go, I've been the best player on the pitch for a young player. You've got to be the best player on the pitch in your position. I watch NFL quite a bit, and there was a speech about, I saw recently about basically saying we're not in the business of dreams. It's not about a dream scenario. Yeah, I make my dream. You've got to be a nightmare. You've got to be a nightmare to the person you're playing against, because you are taking their spot. A nightmare to the person who wants to come in and take your spot. So it's not about nicey and you're a young player. It's I am here because I am the best, and that is what he's coming out here trying to prove. And I think he's done brilliantly.
Yeah, he's certainly come out with that winner's mentality, hasn't he? Let's delve deeper then into some analysis from the fans. We have a tweet here from Game 92, thank you. Newcastle been more active than us thus far. I'm surprised at the shocking levels, sorry, I'm not with the lingo, of non-high pressure plays by Arsenal. We're too zonal at the moment. Another one here from the Arsenal. What happens to the pressure football? Guys, what do you make of those comments? Do you think that we are lacking that pressure? The
intensity. I mean, the thing is, let's be honest about it. I think Emery is not going to escape criticism here. The fact is we have to make a strong start. And at the end of last season, one thing that Emery really come under fire with, and rightfully so, was those dreadful lineups against Crystal Palace and Brighton. Okay. You don't get weeks off in the Premier League. You can't do it. So, okay, we don't know the levels of fitness of every individual player, but there were 6 players on the bench. You know, it was almost like a joke when we see in tweets saying our bench is better than our starting lineup. It's true. You can't let that many players go missing. We need to see Lacazette playing. We need to see, look, if Pepe's not ready to play, then I want to see Ceballos on there. At the end of the day, we can't allow for all of these players to sit on the bench. We need quality, because some players are not cutting it when they're out there. We have to get this win today, and I'd like to see some players coming off the bench to help us do so.
We have controlled a large part of this game so far, and I just think it's for me, it's just the dynamism in midfield. We've just got to get that ball through to the front line a little bit quicker. Newcastle have had a 5 or 6 minute period, but we're talking about, it doesn't matter whether you think they're good or bad, they're a Premier League team playing at home. So for me, at this moment in time, I'm sitting there thinking we've controlled the play, but how can we improve on that and get the victory that we need to take forward for the first game of the season? And I think that is just with a little bit more intensity, particularly in the quickness of our play from midfield through to the forward line. If we get that right, we'll win this game.
Okay, well, let's take another look at our social media comments. This is about building from the back now. Thanks for your tweet. It says, I see Arsenal trying to build from the back, which has proven to be effective play in modern football. But can they do that against big teams? What do you make of that comment? And are we seeing that?
Well, I think we can do it, and obviously that's something that Emery has instilled into the team that he wants them to do. He wants them to play out from the back. But for me, you know, you've got David Luiz sitting there, who I said at the start should be starting, and he's one of the best ball-playing centre-halves on the planet. We know that, and we've seen it. Like, there is hard evidence of that being the case. So if you do want your defenders to receive the ball from the goalkeeper and then transition a play through midfield and possibly into the strikers, then you've got a geezer who could be sitting there doing that straight away. So, you know, if you are going to do that, I would question potentially the personnel that are chosen as a starting lineup, because I think there are better placed players to be able to do that. But in general, I mean, no, I don't. If we do choose to play out from the back, that's fine, but everyone's got to be on the same page. Sometimes players are receiving the ball, it looks like a surprise. We have to up the intensity, and we have to go at Newcastle, and ultimately, as Nigel stated, we need more quality at the top of the pitch.
I call it risk assessment when you're playing out from the back. All you have to do, if you're going to play out from the back, you need to know it's the right opportunity. You need to have the options for the player on the ball to make the pass. You need to be slick, and you need to be sharp. You can play out from the back. But if you're being pressed high up on occasions and it's not right, just drop the ball into midfield. The space is there in midfield, so you don't have to play the same way all the time. We just think because the modern way at the moment is to play out from the back, you don't always have to do that. You can play out from the back and go to the goalie can just drop it straight into midfield, and you can build from there. Risk assessment, simple.
I mean, the tactical advantage of playing out from the back, though, if we do it well, is we invite the players, if they do want to press us high, then we're getting we're getting further on into their, through our transitions, we're going it past their midfield. If the players can receive it and play around them, that's what City do, that's what Liverpool do. But I'm seeing a moment with Callum Chambers there where he's getting the ball off the keeper, he looks shocked and ends up just hacking it into midfield. Newcastle are right at us on the edge of our box. If you've not got the personnel who feel comfortable to take the ball there, then ultimately we probably shouldn't be doing it. But if you've got someone who is comfortable, it is beneficial and it is something that we can do to be able to get through a couple of layers of their team.
So that'd be risk assessment then, Johnny, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I sense he's not particularly happy, Nigel. What are you thinking? Well, let's get a more neutral perspective now then, shall we? Let's take a look at Twitter once again. Thank you for your tweet. Joe Linton has made a decent start for Newcastle. They've been pretty impressive in general, look disciplined and have created chances. Not sure that this is a game where a Xhaka Guendouzi midfield is needed. I think Arsenal might have been better off starting Ceballos. Nigel, what do you make of that, and do you think we should have seen Ceballos start?
We always want something different, unless we're winning, of course. And I've talked about it in terms of with the Arsenal midfield. I think we are keeping the ball. We're playing too safe. Yes, there's periods where you have to keep the ball, but eventually you have to make that risk pass so that we can counter-attack with a little bit more pace. So the manager's now going to look at that situation and say, well, can I bring off one of our, let's call them, two holding midfield players, and bring on a more creative player, and then maybe that just opens us up and we're a little bit more unstable defensively. This is what the manager's looking at. We're away from home. He's probably thinking at the moment, I'm happy with what's happening, but I know we can up it to the next level. So it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't make a change at half time. Then I think 60 minutes in, there's certainly going to be some changes coming.
Yeah, certainly. I think given the right changes, this could be a very different game at St James's Park. And let's get you back to the action now. It's Dan Roebuck and Rob Kelly.
Everyone coming to today's game. The official attendance here this afternoon is 47,635.
Welcome back. Second half of this Premier League opener between Newcastle and Arsenal just about to get underway. 47,635 have managed to cram inside St James's Park. What I would say is that it's down on last year's seasonal average. There were stories of protests outside the ground at various places in the city centre. It has kept some away, or is it simply the weather? We will never know. We're underway for this second half. Let's see what Newcastle can do here as they come forward inside the penalty area. But Isaac Hayden unable to get a meaningful touch on that, and the ball spins behind for a Newcastle corner. Rain continues to team down here on Tyneside. John Joe Shelvey gets a standing ovation as he jogs across to take this corner kick in front of the Gallagher end, away to our right. Plenty forward, everyone back for the Gunners here. Joe Linton looking to get half a yard inside the area. Lascelles as well. Dummett is round the back. It's drilled in towards the near post and just cleared away comfortably. Newcastle will have a throw and no more. Over on the left-hand side, Shelvey will take. And Newcastle will try and work an opening on that left flank. Almiron looks to get the crossing. It ricochets up. Almiron tries again. Then Mkhitaryan will clear. Hayden tries to come forward. It's a bit of a mishmash at the moment because neither side can keep hold of possession. Eventually it's gone towards Shelvey. Now it's towards Shah. Through, looking for the movement of Hayden through the centre, but can't quite find the right pass. And then as Nelson looks to clear, he's caught by Longstaff. Free kick taken quickly. This is Almiron through there. This is Mkhitaryan rather, away from Almiron. Now it's with Aubameyang. Right hand side gets the cross in. It's towards Willock. It'll fall here for Nelson, will it? No, Shelvey will just take it off his toes. And John Joe Shelvey has possession here for Newcastle. Plays it infield towards Longstaff. Steps away from Granit Xhaka. Here is Almiron, away from Guendouzi. Good close control from Miguel Almiron. Still has possession, needs an out ball. Looks to play through towards Joe Linton. It's cleared away. Does the approach play well? Just that final ball from Paraguayan at the moment.
It'll be very interesting, I think, today just to see how quickly Unai Emery changes it. I think he will have to make changes pretty quickly if there's no tangible change in the pattern of the game, because he will just need to see a bit more penetration from his side. I wonder if maybe somebody like Dani Ceballos, someone who'll be able to link up that midfield and the attack a bit better, might be an option off the bench. Then obviously, of course, you've got Nicolas Pepe. I think having sort of not really played any of pre-season after his Africa Cup of Nations duty, I think it'd be a big ask for him to come on and change the game here.
Yeah, I think so. Didn't play when they were knocked out in the quarter-final of that particular competition by Algeria. Went out last 8 on pens. Did play some group stage games, but was involved obviously in the squad. It was a bit of a disappointing end to their campaign, really. Here is Willock. Steps away from Manquillo. Looks to knock it back for Monreal. Now it's with Guendouzi. Willock once again, central position. Rolls it back for Callum Chambers. Chambers on the right-hand side for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Has to stretch to get to that and can't do. And Ritchie has it now for Newcastle. 15 yards inside the Arsenal half. Looking for Almiron, who turns, knocks it back towards Longstaff. Curls inside the area towards Joe Linton. It's cleared away again, though, by the Gunners. And Mkhitaryan will come away with possession. Oh, that's neatly done against Shelby. Great play from Mkhitaryan. Looks for the run of Nelson. He's overhit that by a mile. He's been involved, hasn't he, Henrik Mkhitaryan, certainly in this game. He's got the ball in some good areas. He's looked lively with the ball at his feet. He's made some good passes.
He doesn't look the most confident I've ever seen a player, I've got to say. He's just seems to sort of freeze slightly when it comes to that final ball, unfortunately. And as you say, because he's so involved, it's particularly noticeable. And I would have thought, actually, if Unai Emery's looking at making a change, Mkhitaryan would probably be number 1 on his list.
Newcastle have it. Joe Linton on the halfway line, plays it towards Ritchie, down the line, looks for Longstaff, belted away by Callum Chambers. Will be a throw in to Newcastle when we restart. We've got 1 or 2 of the Newcastle subs warming up at the moment. Anna Saint-Maximin, who has signed from Nice, 6 goals from midfield, cost £20 million or so. From the Saint Etienne and Monaco winger. Here is Dummett for Newcastle. Almiron dropping deep. Dummett has it once again. Ritchie is on the move. The left wing back's got forward. Good close control to bring it down. Whipped in a low cross, cleared away by Chambers again. Good work from Callum Chambers, not for the first time. Signed for Arsenal way back in the summer of 2014, long time ago now. Had a really good opening, dozen games or so for Arsenal. Former England under 21 international. Here's Almiron again for Newcastle. Now it's with Dummett. Looks to get the cross in towards this right-hand side of Manquillo, but Leno is there. That's good work from Bernd Leno, and excellent work to get Nelson on his way on the left-hand side, just in front of our commentary position here at St James's Park. Nelson. Now it's with Xhaka. Nelson again. Xhaka on the halfway line. Looks to try and play Aubameyang in here, and Dubravka stayed on his line. It's Aubameyang. Takes a deflection up and over the crossbar, out for a corner. Good movement. Excellent running from Aubameyang. Nelson got free. Dubravka came out. This time it was more decisive. It flicked up off a Newcastle boot and out for a corner in front of the Arsenal fans. Well, I say in front of, certainly they're at that end, but they're 3 tiers right up in the gods to our left-hand side. Sold out the away allocation once again. Brilliant support as always from the Arsenal travelling fans. Saw plenty on the train up earlier from King's Cross, which was fairly chaotic earlier on today. Making themselves heard as they watch on as Nelson gets ready to take this corner. Whips in towards the near post, flashes across the goal. Well, it was Granit Xhaka that raced towards that. Must have got plenty on it. I thought it came off a Newcastle head in the end, as it was. It's a goal kick and nothing more. Dubravka waits. international, who's made the Newcastle #1 spot his own after being signed permanently last summer after previously being on loan from Sparta Prague. Long punt towards Almiron, but Ainsley Maitland-Niles will just shepherd that one out of play. Clifford Willems is going to come on. First change then for Newcastle here. On loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. Well known for his time at PSV Eindhoven, where he spent some 5 years at Dutch international, though hasn't been involved recently. Now then, this is interesting. Is it John Joe Shelby who's coming off? Because Willems really, he can play left back, left wing back, left midfield. Will this mean just a little bit of a reshuffle, I wonder, for Newcastle here? And Shelby, I can only imagine here, this is 8 minutes into the second half, that there's a bit of an issue. He hasn't had the worst of games, although he looks very disappointed coming off. Steve Bruce is speaking to Harris with the reshuffle. So that's the change. We restart with Willems on. Where is he going to play? It looks like he's going to be fairly central at the moment. This is Nacho Monreal for Arsenal. Down the line, looking for Willock. First touch a little bit awkward, can't keep it in play. The ball goes out for a Newcastle throw just in front of the dugouts. Javier Manquillo will take the Spanish right wing back who had that brief spell with Liverpool, of course, once of Marseille and Sunderland. Never on the winning side when he's played against Arsenal, but both Sunderland and Newcastle. This is Ritchie. Back towards Hayden, who's playing in a more withdrawn role, incidentally, now it would appear. Just a tactical tweak. Williams is going to play over on that left-hand side, maybe. This is Joe Linton, beaten to it by Guendouzi. Excellent challenge from the young French midfielder for Arsenal. Here is Guendouzi again. Now it's with Aubameyang, right-hand side, edge of the area, inside the box, outside of the right boot. He takes the shot on, it hits the Newcastle player, and he ricochets back out towards Guendouzi, who can't control it. And that's a throw-in to Newcastle. We've had 10 fairly sodden minutes of this second half.
Just been informed by one of our colleagues here that our little setup with the umbrella is the talk of the town.
Fantastic.
People talking about the two prima donnas up from London.
Beautiful.
Happy to help. Happy to be the star of the show.
Ball is out of play on the far side. Here is Joe Linton. Now it's with Ritchie. Now it's with Manquillo. Curling ball forward by Shaw, but that's overhit, and we've not really seen the cut and thrust in this second half that we saw in the first. Here is Monreal. Oh, Willock dallies. Shaw is in quickly. This is Joe Linton. Newcastle coming forward. The big Brazilian edge of the area. Challenged by Xhaka. One back. Shaw claiming handball against Xhaka. Nothing given there. It's come back out towards Monreal. Who is now Xhaka. Picked up by Hayden. Now it's with Longstaff. Back towards Lascelles. Long punt forward by Dubravka. That's going to go towards Leno. It's an old-fashioned up and under that might make the press box if he's lucky. High onto the top of the dugout just in front of us. And Steve Bruce's coaching staff. Disjointed from both sides, I think, this second half, Rob.
Sorry?
Disjointed.
It's been, it's been a pretty disjointed game in general, I think, really. I think changes are needed. I think Newcastle will probably be a bit happy with the second half, but Ainsley's done very well on the right-hand side.
Maitland-Niles coming forward, it's towards Aubameyang, it's still Aubameyang, can he finish? Of course he can! That's what he does! Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with his first of the season, and the joint Golden Boot winner from last campaign puts the Gunners ahead 13 minutes into the second half, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, that space over on the right-hand side. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with a delicate finish over Dubravka. Coolly done by the Gabonese. It is Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 1.
So brilliant finish by Aubameyang, but so much of the credit there has to go to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Anticipated the ball, burst onto it, intercepted, came forward and just picked out a beautiful pass for Oba, who took his time and finished. That's just what Oba does. You always expected it, but so much credit has to go to Maitland-Niles there. Did superbly.
Arsenal supporters serenading Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, whose first goal of the campaign has given Arsenal the advantage. You can hear what he means to the Arsenal faithful. The 50th Premier League appearance for Aubameyang, a 33rd Premier League goal. That is some record, isn't it?
Incredible. He's just the arch finisher, isn't he? Oh,
it's a poor challenge on Willock from Shah.
he's been booked as well, hasn't he, Fabian Schär?
Well, I wasn't quite sure in the first half as he was. I'll have to double check that. No, he wasn't in the end. Salmeron was booked for diving. Mkhitaryan and Nelson booked for Arsenal. Here's Aubameyang again, battling away with Lascelles. Cleared away by Newcastle, only as far as Granit Xhaka. And Xhaka forward, looking for Willock. Willock, edge of the area, left-hand side, looking to curl it towards the back post. So nobody there, not quite sure if that was a cross or a shot from young Joe Willock.
He's trying to dig out a cross there, I think, with his left foot. Just got a bit too much on it. Interesting now for Unai Emery. Now we've got the lead. What does he do in terms of changes? Because Lacazette, Pepe and Ceballos are all warming up fairly intently on the touchline. I do wonder whether with half an hour left of this game, who's going to turn to first. I would have thought Ceballos might have been, or Lacazette might have been the obvious one to go with. Whether that changes things now that we've got the lead, I don't know.
Socrates forward for Nelson, challenged by Manquillo, but he does well to lay it off for Guendouzi. Guendouzi steps away from Manquillo. Now it's with Joe Willock. Willock looking for Monreal, back towards Guendouzi. Guendouzi looks to go long, blocked by Longstaff. Longstaff flicks it on for Almiron. He's got Joelinton to his left. Almiron runs into Socrates. Socrates does well. Almiron tugs the shirt of Socrates there. He has been booked. Meanwhile, long ball forward for Aubameyang. In the meantime, Mkhitaryan was caught by Hayden. I think the Arsenal fans, and indeed we wanted play to continue. Martin Atkinson pulled play back.
Yeah, he's very whistle-happy there, Martin Atkinson, because while it was obviously a foul on Mkhitaryan, the way the ball deflected, he just raced in behind the defence. Aubameyang could have raced clean through on goal, really, but the whistle had already gone. A bit frustrating there.
Arsenal restart. And then it's Chambers and Socrates. And now Monreal that trade passes at the back. Socrates right-footed to the right-hand side. Ainsley Maitland-Niles flicks it forward for Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan for Maitland-Niles again. He gets away from Richie. Now it's with Guendouzi, who's been industrious in that Arsenal midfield. I think he's had the better game than Xhaka for me in this hour that we've seen.
Absolutely, I think he's done very well. He's always high energy, isn't he, Guendouzi? And I think he's performed very well. You know, he's still only a young guy, people forget that, but he's performing in his second Premier League season. He just looks so confident there.
Yeah, still just 20. Played for the French under-21s in the European Championships. That level, summer just gone, knocked out by Spain. Spain, of course, went on to win. France knocked out in the semi-final. And Keogh, former Spanish under-21 international himself, throws it towards Joelinton. Joelinton looking for Longstaff. Now it's with Schär. This is Willems, runs into Maitland-Niles, and that's going to be a free kick.
I feel like he was looking for that one, to be honest with you, Willems there. It was a foul, of course, but he was looking for it. He knew he knocked it too long and he just raced into him.
Rain's starting to come down even heavier at St James's. Brolly's gone back up. Here is Longstaff. Now it's with Ritchie. Looks to drive one inside the penalty area, punched away by Leno. This is Nelson, does really well, spun away from two challenges attempted by Ritchie and Longstaff, and now it's with Willock coming forward here. Willock driving on, good challenge coming in from Hayden, cleared away by Newcastle. Socrates has it, and then all the way back by Ritchie. Here is Joe Linton for Newcastle. Ball has got out of play. Arms go up from both coaches, and it goes Arsenal's way. We're going to see Dani Ceballos here. Loan signing, obviously, from Real Madrid. Part of that Spanish under-21 side that did so well by winning the Euros at under-21 level. Willock, the player to come off. What have you make of Joe Willock's afternoon here?
I think he's done pretty well. I think he saw a couple of really driving runs from him. He looked a bit disappointed as he came off, but I think he's actually had a good afternoon. I think he's still a young guy, and he's just a teenager. I think he's performed pretty well. I like him as a player. I think he's very neat and tidy. I think he's a much more muscular presence than when he made his Premier League debut here a few seasons ago. I think he can be pretty pleased with himself.
And Ceballos' first touch is to give it away. Joe Linton, Almiron away from Ceballos, looks to play it towards Ritchie, left-hand side. Newcastle coming forward. This is Willems. It's a poor ball towards the Dutchman, and Arsenal will win a goal kick, thankfully.
Probably not what Dani Ceballos wanted to do straight away. Keep it simple to begin with, but the flick there, right here by the halfway line, set Newcastle away, really.
Yeah, turned 23 this week, did Dani Ceballos. Signed from Real Betis a couple of summers ago. Star for Betis. Really make the grade at Real Madrid, but obviously hopes he still can do. It's a loan without an option to buy at the end of it, I understand. Is that
There's no option to buy, no. It's just a flat loan deal for a year.
So Maximin is about to come on for Newcastle because Torreira is warming up for Arsenal, amongst others. It's Lacazette, trouble with that ankle injury. I'm sure he would have started. May well come on. This is Willems for Newcastle. Up against Maitland-Niles. Ritchie. Referee has pulled play back. Willems has been penalised. Here comes the change for Newcastle. Get your big money signings on. Player to be replaced here is Longstaff, who I thought caught a little bit of a knock. So Maximin, the player that's going to come off. Almiron gets some instructions as well. Comes with a big reputation, Sam Maximin, from Nice, and the local fans seem to like him.
From everything I've read about him, he's a guy that can look absolutely sensational on one day and very quiet the next. I think he's still a young player, isn't he? I think that can be true of a lot of young players. We just hope that he has a very quiet afternoon today. Ceballos, again he loses out. Can Mkhitaryan help win it back? That's good play from Hayden for Newcastle. Manquillo shoved over by Nelson. This is Sam Maximin. Hayden. Sam Maximin wants him back on the right-hand side. Here he is looking to run at the Arsenal defence. One step over, then another. Looks to whip in the cross. Nobody there and put behind by Maitland-Niles. Newcastle fans enjoyed that. Looks a bit of a unit, doesn't he? He does. He's a very, very big guy. Very interesting start from him. No lack of confidence whatsoever. Just took the players on, dummied, shimmied. Really dangerous cross as well.
So corner left-hand side. Ritchie gets ready to take. Plenty of black and white striped shirts inside the area. Driven in low here, and the shot from Almiron hits an Arsenal player and ricochets out for a corner. Whether that was goal bound or not, I'm not so sure.
It was. Arsenal just a bit slow to react to that ball then, because it wasn't whipped in with a huge amount of pace, but it was just too slow to react, and Almiron managed to get there first.
So another left wing corner. Ritchie gets ready. In it comes, cleared away by Granit Xhaka. It'll bounce back towards Willems, who will try and play it to the edge of the area. That's a poor ball in, and it's cleared away again. And Unai Emery's furious. He wanted Arsenal just to retain possession.
Yeah, you can't blame him really, because if you just a bit more composure there from Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I think he could have set us away on a counter-attack there. But Newcastle was struggling with, they pulled so many men forward.
Here is Monreal. Now it's with Socrates, Guendouzi. Socrates again. Sabas always giving the ball away again, and Richie intercepts, but he can't control it, and Leno is there. Dangerous from Danny Sabas. Freddie Ljungberg just below us out, barking the orders to the Arsenal team. Not quite settled, has he?
It's not. It's been a slightly uncomfortable start for Ceballos.
Monreal forward for Guendouzi. Nelson back towards Monreal once again. This will be a crucial 3 points if Arsenal can get the job done here. 22 minutes remaining. Xhaka. There is Nacho Monreal. 33 now, Nacho. One or two injury issues last season, of course. Still managed to start 21 games. Meanwhile, Saint-Maximin has just caught Granit Xhaka there, and that's going to be a free kick. It's just a little bit late. I mean, a good decision from the referee. Newcastle fans don't agree with it. Xhaka crumples to the ground on his 100th Premier League appearance for the Gunners. Just about up on his feet now. Guendouzi's getting the instructions, got a break in play. Well, I don't think anyone really would have guessed Arsenal's starting lineup here with the new signings that we made. We are going to see Arsenal's record signing very shortly indeed in Nicolas Pepe. Just wonder who's going to come off here. You suspect it might be Nelson, but or Mkhitaryan, maybe Nelson.
But he is a right winger, isn't he, Pepe?
It is Reiss Nelson who's coming off. How's Reiss Nelson done for you?
I think he's done okay. I don't think he's been as involved as he would have liked, but he's shown some nice touches. I think he can be pretty encouraged with it. But you can just hear from the Arsenal fans the excitement about Nicolas Pepe coming on. £72 million record signing reportedly. What a moment for us to see him making his Premier League debut.
22 goals last season for Lille, 35 in 74 in 2 campaigns with the French side. They were the surprise package in many ways last season in Ligue 1. Study at Poitiers before moving on to Angers. They spell it Orléans, lower league football really. The French-born Ivory Coast international. See what he can do. Aubameyang towards Mkhitaryan. Hayden slides in, but Xhaka has it now. This is Almiron. Oh, great challenge from Granit Xhaka, claiming it's going to be an Arsenal throw. It's not been given. Monreal is told by the referee to give the ball back, and Keogh will take the throw. Looks like he's very quick. Willems. Well, we have got 18 minutes remaining here, and Arsenal lead by a goal to nil. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the goal scorer. And the Gunners come forward again. Pepe, and he uses pace here on the right hand side. He certainly can. Good strong challenge coming in though from Dummett. It's more like a back four now for Newcastle, with Richie playing left-hand side of a almost 4-4-2 formation in midfield. Aubameyang, there by Willems. Saint-Maximin gives the ball away. Aubameyang has it again. Leading in 27 Premier League fixtures all told last campaign, won 21 of them. Almiron, right-hand side, knocks it down the line to Richie, but too much bend on that and it just rolls out of play. She's doing the rabble-rousing, the organising, but even with the changes, Newcastle really look likely to getting this equaliser, but it's by no means a done deal that Arsenal got the 3 points here. Monreal, Xhaka puts the laces through it. Aubameyang wants to try and glance it on but can't, and then Maximin wins the ball against Guendouzi, going the wrong way initially, then turns to face his compatriot, plays it to the left-hand side. Willemse, Dutch midfielder, will roll it back. Hayden, Helms again. Infield, good movement here. Can Richie dig out the cross? That should be easy for Leno. And Ceballos. Xhaka. Aubameyang wants to try and clear. This is Monreal now. It's with Xhaka. Arsenal just taking a chance or two maybe at the back, trying to play their way out of trouble. Guendouzi. This is Dani Ceballos. Ball at his feet over the halfway line. Plays it forward for Nacho Monreal. Now it's with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on the left-hand side. Back for Mkhitaryan. Looks to get the low cross in. It's cleared away, but good dynamic play from Arsenal going forward.
Yeah, that's nice play. See Dani Ceballos looking comfortable going forward there, getting involved. Decent play with Oba, combining well with Mkhitaryan on the left. I think Mkhitaryan's actually looked more dangerous since he's moved over to that left, conversely.
Throw in for Arsenal. 9 yards away from the corner flag on the left-hand side as they attack the Newcastle defence. This is Monreal. Aubameyang can't find Ceballos on that occasion. Cleared away by Shah, looking for Joelinton, but too many Arsenal players back. Well organised, snuffing out the threat of the Brazilian. And bar that glancing header in the first half, hasn't really been able to affect the game.
Though he had the other chance as well, didn't he, when Leno made the save sort of straight at him. He's a muscular presence, isn't he, Joelinton? But he's Callum Chambers and Socrates have done very well against him, I think.
Mkhitaryan looks to play it back for Dani Ceballos, who played the ball for him in the first place, but Spaniard doesn't really continue his run there, does he? No, steps off and puts the brakes on. Here is Aubameyang. To the corner flag on the left-hand side. Now it's with Nacho Monreal. He loses out and Newcastle win a throw, and Arsenal have to regroup here. Martin Atkinson says you're not taking it from the right position, so just pulls play back. Here is Joelinton looking for Almiron. Socrates there. Now it's with Chambers. Chambers for Maitland-Niles. That's rather short. Leno was very quick to see that one outside of his penalty area. Heads away. Saint-Maximin, left-hand side, slips. Arsenal recover. Gunners get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely, because Saint-Maximin did really well, didn't he, initially, just to get away. Actually, I think Leno's actually had a quietly very, very good game today.
Absolutely right. Manquillo away from one challenge, then runs into Nacho Monreal. Referee says play on. Goes to ground far too easy there, Manquillo. Here is Mkhitaryan. Runs into Shah. Wilson's defending. It's going to be a throw into Arsenal. And Nacho Monreal gets in position. Midway inside the Newcastle half, Monreal gets ready to take the throw. Long down the line for Mkhitaryan. Flicked on, but nobody there. Just rolls all the way back to Dubravka. Newcastle have got to try and find a way if they're going to get a point out of this. 12 minutes remaining. They're still looking to claim an opening day success. Hayden, deep inside Newcastle territory. Now it's with Shah, infield for Alain Saint-Maximin. This is Dummett, looking with Joe Linton, who's come deep towards the halfway line to get involved in play. Dummett will knock it down the line. Ritchie will make the move. It's an awkward touch for Callum Chambers, but he's used his strength well there, I think, Chambers, and that's going to be a throw to Arsenal. Has done well, has impressed.
Yeah, I think if you look at the game as a whole, I think apart from those sort of flurry of chances in the first half, I think we've restricted Newcastle really well. Callum Chambers has gone about his business very quietly but effectively. I think he's sort of been a muscular presence at the back alongside Socrates. They've done very well so far.
Good interception from Nacho Monreal, just when Manquillo was looking to get away. And Nacho Monreal takes it to the halfway line. Now it's with Dani Ceballos, nearly gives it away again. Shah has slipped. Mkhitaryan comes forwards. It's towards Aubameyang. Difficult one to control, but he's managed to do so. But as he tries to swivel to get the shot away, Manquillo is back to defend. And Newcastle have it with Almiron. Oh, he was caught late by Xhaka. Play on, says the referee. Xhaka is saying that he didn't really touch him. It is going to be a card nonetheless. And Granit Xhaka, he picked up some 10 cautions last season. He's into the book nice and early this time around on his 100th Premier League appearance.
What Granit Xhaka does, isn't it? He's one of those guys who he plays on the edge, doesn't he, Granit Xhaka? You know, he's got that bit of bite about him, so it's no surprise whenever you see him get into the book. It did look like a booking, if we're being perfectly honest.
Monreal, tell you what, the crowd's gone pretty quiet. Newcastle fans anyway. Xhaka, bit of space to work with in central midfield. Now it's with Matteo Guendouzi over to the right hand side, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's hunting another, looks to play it through towards Nicolas Pepe. He just ricochets up off a Newcastle boot, falls for Henrik Mkhitaryan on the left hand side. Mkhitaryan, a shimmy and a shuffle inside the area, looks here for Dani Ceballos. Ceballos shrugs off one challenge, does well, controls, faces up the Newcastle defence, picks out Nacho Monreal, who looks for Mkhitaryan. Can he pull it back? It ricochets back out off Mkhitaryan from Shah's attempted clearance come block, and it's just a goal kick for Newcastle. Going to see another change potentially here for Arsenal. Unai Emery's calling someone across. Who is it?
Looks like Martinelli could be coming on here.
Interesting. Certainly being called across. Yeah, it's going to be a Premier League debut. Debut in senior football, the way I make it. Through Ituano in Brazil. Highly rated youngster who may well be given the last 8 minutes to impress. Scored against Colorado Rapids in pre-season. Looked lively. Not on just yet. Shah coming forward for Newcastle. Now it's with Manquillo, right hand side, looks to hoist one up inside the penalty area. Leno is underneath that. That's a shocking ball from a Newcastle point of view. So many players inside the area to aim at. He's just hoisted it over the lot of them. Xhaka. Now it's with Pepe. Dani Ceballos. Mkhitaryan. Arsenal playing the ball around confidently and comfortably on the side of the halfway line. Made a bit of progress with Dani Ceballos on the left hand side. Back in field for Granit Xhaka. Xhaka looking for Mkhitaryan. This is Monreal. Almiron does well against him. Monreal will have to reset. This is Joe Linton. Can't get it out from underneath his feet first time around, but he's allowed to control second time. Now it's with Willems. Saint-Maximin left hand side. Here is Alain Saint-Maximin inside the penalty area. It's on his right foot. Gets the shot away. Leno makes the save. Comfortable, but even so, half chance. Maybe should have got hold of that a little bit better. 6 goals last campaign. French junior international. Hasn't scored since January when he netted against Nîmes. So Martinelli, bit of a surprise on this. Mkhitaryan, the player to come off.
Not a huge surprise there. I think Martinelli often has played out on the left flank during his sort of youth days in Brazil. He's looked very bright in pre-season, Martinelli. I think he's got a lot about him that the coaching staff at the club like. I think there's a thought that obviously there's a lot of aspects to his game that are quite raw at the moment, but the raw ingredients that they do see they like.
Well, here he is. First touch is a bad one. He's giving it straight to Miguel Almiron, and Almiron races away from Granit Xhaka, runs into Guendouzi. I think he fouls Guendouzi there. He's had a good game for me, Maciej Guendouzi in central midfield. Now it's with Granit Xhaka. Well, just less than 6 minutes, and then obviously added on time. We've had no interruption from VAR. It's been a game played at a good pace. Sense that Newcastle have got something about them this season. They might not flirt with relegation, but a lot of the sort of middle ranking sides, even the sides at the lower end of last season's Premier League table, have signed well. It's getting more competitive each year. The English top flight. Arsenal's 100th, of course, consecutively, and the Gunners are determined to make a much better show of things this time around than last. Saint-Maximin, left-hand side, looking to burst away from Maitland-Niles, who does brilliantly to just nick it away from the Frenchman, knocks it long to Aubameyang. Newcastle win it back, and then give it away. Dani Ceballos, Aubameyang, and suddenly there's options with Martinelli and Pepe. Who's he going to go to? Is towards Pepe. Shari's in the way. Two Arsenal players lurking just behind that. Manquillo, Dubravka, long from the Slovakian. Joelinton wins the header. Saint-Maximin takes it down. Hayden to Willems, back towards Saint-Maximin. Hayden strides forward. This is Ritchie, turns away from Guendouzi. Shah wants to get involved. Manquillo further right, in comes the shot from Shah. That's woeful. And he's nowhere near the target from Fabian Shah, who did score 4 times last campaign, and the last against Fulham last game of last season.
Gone out of play for a goal kick. Anything happened directly from that. Joelinton still looking unhurried. Ritchie, Almiron, principal options are to his left. Saint-Maximin driving inside the penalty area.
2.5 minutes from
everybody back apart from Aubameyang. In from Willems. Socrates stops Share getting a header in. Martinelli's header back into a dangerous area, and Newcastle turnover possession, but the flag is up. Got to have the belief there, Newcastle, that they can really create something. So many numbers forward. To the whimper, doesn't it? With Almiron deemed to be offside, but feeling within the ground. 4 minutes added on, maybe.
From what I've seen, I know we're not over yet, but the Gunners in a performance that surprised many in terms of the selection of the starting lineup. I think the Gunners have done well this afternoon so far.
Yeah, I think in the second half, certainly since we scored the goal, we've just looked.
This is Martinelli, just takes the ball out of play. I think, does he know? Dani Ceballos will try and get there, then he's stumped away by Shah. Joelinton will try and nod it down. He's only given it to an Arsenal player, then he wins it back. So Maximin is on the way over on the left-hand side. Almiron is calling for it, so Maximin looks to use his pace. Maitland-Niles is there. This is Almiron, edge of the area, pulls it back. Joelinton with a shot, nowhere near the target. Half a chance, Arsenal players were backpedaling there.
Any idea at all why players still carry on in this vein? Every single time that you see that type of contact being made by a player on the opposition, the referee will always push this to his lips. What a foul.
Not give Newcastle a sniff.
Long from Leno, flicked on by Pepe, looking for Aubameyang, cleared away by Newcastle. Joelinton, Almiron, this is Ritchie to the left hand side, but it's cleared away by Maitland-Niles. Joelinton will turn, A lot of space right-hand side from Manquillo, but Nacho Monreal got his angles right, and the right back for Newcastle didn't clear the way, only as far as Shah. Now it's Jolinton. Manquillo, Jolinton again, Ritchie, central position. Almiron into the path of Saint-Maximin, 3 inside the penalty area. Saint-Maximin.
In the closing stages, just having that sort of all-round game knowledge, whatever we want to call it.
A lot through the preseason. He and Rashford can interchange, and Lingard can float around off the right.
Starting his first full season in charge, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.